And that's an open mic. And you know what? Yeah, no, it's open mics are funny. I love doing roast battles.
Get ready for hot takes and insight from local industry experts in real estate, business, and lifestyle. He used to play ball with the Padres. He played hockey for the Lobos. Now they're crushing it in the real estate game. Together, they'll showcase the best of the Duke City. This is All About You, ABQ.
Welcome back. It is All About You, ABQ. I'm Skip Adams, owner of Sold by Skip Real Estate Brokerage. And we're joined in studio today as a co-host, comedian Noah Vargas, a local kid, born and raised in Albuquerque, and here to just support the YouABQ show. Noah is a local comedian and host of the Improvised Intelligence podcast. So I'm going to pick your brain about how do you do a podcast? Because this show is running on fumes, I'll tell you that much. Noah, thanks for being in studio today, man. I appreciate you.
I'm happy to be here.
You know what's funny, though? We are going through a little bit of a heat wave in the studio. They're doing some roof work, shut off the air conditioner, so let's just try not to sweat through our clothes and get through this episode.
Yeah, like I was saying before, I just got back from Austin, and so my body's still a little bit acclimated to the devil's armpit that is Austin, Texas. And even get that. It only got up to like 95 out there. And typically it gets out to like in the hundreds during the summer. So I kind of missed it by a little bit.
A little thick, a little humid, and it speaks to, Albuquerque. One of the cool things about Albuquerque, it's so underrated, but you actually have to go away to a different city to figure out that we have one of the best climates in town. It's dry heat, and typically we only get over 100 degrees maybe 5 times a year.
Yeah.
But it takes, going to the armpit of Texas and just walking outside and just sweating to death to realize how good we have it here. One of the things that we always like to talk about on the show is Albuquerque itself. And, our studio is located downtown, and so we always have to step over people taking naps in on the sidewalk. But downtown, in most cities, especially if you go to Austin, right? You go to 6th Street, downtown is vibrant. There's all kinds of things going on.
Although they got homeless too.
Don't
miss it. They're plenty of psychopaths down there too. But their homeless are polite. Ours don't take no for an answer. Their homeless people will walk away from you. So, they still got the homeless down there. It's all right.
Well, one of the things we always talk about is what can we do to put our downtown on the map? Because your city is defined by your downtown. When people come to town, they want to tour downtown and see what's going on. One of the cool things about Albuquerque right now is the Downtown Albuquerque Revitalization Plan. Plan 2050 it's called. And so the city of Albuquerque is expanding its revitalization initiatives to fill vacant properties, rezone for mixed use housing, and enhance public spaces, address the homelessness and public safety. Anyways, city council, everybody got together. The final documentation was completed in spring 2025. And so now the project is set for implementation.
I'm glad they're just getting around to it. Good.
Well, it's funny because, growing up here, the first place I ever went to for a drink on a fake ID was the distillery downtown.
Yeah, well.
And downtown is, it comes in waves. Like, it'll go through a little resurgence. We'll get some new bars or something down here, and then all of a sudden, the strip club gets shut down.
Yeah, well, and that's all fun and games, I suppose. But it's, I don't know, man. Like, look, I'm not the most educated guy around. I'll just say it up front. I'm a comedian and a podcaster. You know what I mean? To quote one of my favorite comedians right now, Dave Smith, I'm just a comic that reads. That's all I am. Take what I say with a grain of salt. But I understand that a lot of it is that it is a real and genuine struggle for local businesses to stay open. It's a genuine struggle for them to mitigate crime, mitigate theft, especially with the issues that APD is facing, both externally and internally. And then even a perfect example, I brought this up on a podcast I did a couple nights ago with a mayoral candidate. We had a comedy club down here, a local one, it's called Dry Heat Comedy Club.
Right around the corner.
Yeah, and they're no longer in business. Owners went out to New York. And one of the big issues that they ran into was the pretty much impossibility of getting a liquor license as a small business. The owner, Sarah Kennedy, she came on my podcast about a year and a half ago maybe, and she was explaining to me about how it was about $250,000 to own a liquor license, and for some unknown reason, I haven't had it explained to me by anybody, in a good way at least. There's a limited amount of liquor licenses. That's stupid. That makes no sense. It's stupid. Like, why are there limited amounts of paper? Like, that's dumb. I mean, you know, it's stupid. So, and then even if you can't get your own liquor license, like purchase one, if you're leasing it as a beer and wine, I forget the proper term for it, but a beer and wine license, it's something to the tune of $3,500 a month. And then if you want to lease a full liquor license, it's something to $6,000 a month. And then when you're putting that expense on top of rent, tech, employees, cleaning services, I mean, everything, it's just impossible to run a small business like that.
Well,
like,
especially if you've got homeless people peeing on the front door and then stealing your computers at night.
Yeah, and then again, like exactly, when you add crime on top of that, when you add the homelessness issue on top of that, people already don't want to go downtown. You know, people really only go downtown to drink and for concerts. And, you know, it's like
have you had a chance to experience Ex Novo yet?
I have not.
Oh, dude.
I like their beer, but I haven't been.
Okay, so this venue downtown, it's right across the street from the studio, right across from Dry Heat. This is going to be an absolute game changer. It's an anchor restaurant brewery here downtown, and the way that they did it, the build out is so great. It's got the Southern California like warehouse vibes to it. Food's fantastic. The venue itself is spacious. It's wide open. It feels safe. It's well lit. And I think that that's going to be the catalyst. That's going to be the anchor that's going to start bringing more business downtown. And realistically, go check it out. Not sponsored, but we wish we were sponsored. But yeah, that's typically where we'll go do our post game dinner.
Nice
dinner and drinks there. No, but are you an outdoor guy? Because you were born and raised in Albuquerque.
Yeah, not as much as I'd like to be. I frankly don't have the time. Like I just don't.
What are you, an adult or something?
Yeah, I know, right? You know, between having a 9 to 5, I mean, you understand this more than anybody else. When running a realtor company, you're talking about earlier how you have kids, and then you do the podcast, and then just everything that you're doing. You know, so between like having my 9 to 5 job, doing stand up, running my podcast by myself, doing everything behind the scenes by myself. And then a personal life on top of that, I barely have enough time to go to the gym.
Yeah.
So, you know, I would like to be more of an outdoor person. We have a lot of great hiking areas here, both in Albuquerque and in the surrounding areas.
Well, especially up in the heights. And that's one of the benefits of living in a town like Albuquerque is that you can get from the mountains to the volcanoes in 30 minutes.
Yep.
And if you're looking for hikes with elevation, I found a great one. It's right in our backyard. And so my wife and I had my sister in town, and my wife and I went for a hike. And it was 1,500 feet elevation gain from the base of the Sandias up through the mountains. And we went through different elevation changes. So you start at the high desert where there's cactus, and then you go into the pine trees. And then on the back side of the mountain, there's waterfalls. It felt like you're in a rainforest. Great big canopy. It was like wet. It was kind of a couple days ago when it was raining.
Where do you drive to? Because the only place on the east side that I've really spent time hiking at is where you just take Indian School all the way up.
Yeah, you can take any one of those streets all the way up. But if you take Academy all the way up till it dead ends. There's a big stack of boulders. That's where you park. Nice. And you just cut up. And it took us a couple hours. It was a 4-mile hike, and the elevation gain, man, your quads and calves were burning by the end of it. But it just speaks to what a great town that we have. Because we were talking about it on the hike. We've all spent time in California, lived in California. But if we were to do the similar hike in Southern California, there'd be like 300 people on the trail with us, everyone with their dogs and stuff. We didn't see anybody else on the trail the entire time. And so for me, I think there's so much value in that, in the fact that we're just not as congested.
I agree.
You know, one of the last affordable cities in the Southwest, and people really haven't discovered it yet.
Yeah. No, I have a lot of family down in San Diego and the Carlsbad area.
Nice. Yeah, I was going to say Carlsbad's great. Yeah,
I love going down there.
I met my wife in San Diego in the Gas Lamp, and she's from San Diego. I convinced her to move out to the desert. Shout out intern Ashley. We call her intern Ashley because when we first started our show,
I'm sure she loves that.
Yeah, well,
she had a local intern. Hey, get in here.
Intern.
Where's my water? The fuck?
Yeah, back to work. Get off camera. No, but when we would do the show in my basement, Grant and I would just be goofing around, and intern Ashley, she was there trying to like figure out how to do the chords and stuff, and you know, Grant's mic would fall off and she'd put it back on. So that's our loving moniker for her. But when it comes to podcasting, you've been in the podcast game for a while. You have well over 200 episodes. And I feel like podcast has always been such a catchy term, like everyone's got one now. And it's so easy to start one, but to be able to build a following and actually do it for over 200 episodes, talk about some of the struggles in getting started and then continuing to be consistent.
Sure. So I'll be completely honest. I had a lot of luck in the beginning. I started the podcast October of 2020. Stimulus checks were coming in. Got some help from some friends financially because it was the reason why I wanted to start it was like a lot of other guys my age then and now. Huge fan of Rogan. I just come back from a deployment, and that's pretty much all we listen to out there. And then I got a job in a warehouse, and I just put an earbud in, listen to that. So that sounds like a lot of fun. I mean, let's see what that looks like.
I'm interesting as hell.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I'm cool. I deserve to be on a microphone. Hey, look, it's my social media. Good job, team. Ran the intro 3 times, got my Instagram up once. Good job. Anyway, but so I knew nothing about it. I knew nothing about tech. I knew nothing about like any of that. So I was like, oh, I wonder what I can do with $100. And you can do nothing. You can do exactly nothing. I got a bunch of these little cameras off of eBay, and they came in a little white box that just said video camera out of like the back of a Chinese warehouse. And I remember I set it up for the first time. I maybe spent $200 because I dropped about $100 on my audio
mixer.
On my mixer, yeah. And I remember my buddy Joey, he came over for the first time to do the podcast, and he goes, "Are we filming a snuff film? Like, what are you?"
No lighting.
Yeah, we have like low light. You have these little cameras. I see a chain in the back. Like, what do you? So anyway, so I started doing it. I was like, oh, this is actually a lot of fun. And my goal was just at the time was just I want to figure out, do I have 10 people that could come and do this, that want to do this? We can get to can they do it later, but would want to. Thankfully, I did. And by about episode 3, a buddy of mine, Jay, who actually used to live in LA, now he's in Arizona. At the time, he used to make his own music, a very talented guy, but he's the dude that sits at his computer for like 12 hours a day, makes all his money doing coding and all that stuff. And he was like, all right, well, if you're really going to do this, here's the tech you need. I'll help you out with thumbnails. I still don't really know how to use Photoshop all that well. But it's like, I'll help you out. Like, this is the tech you need to buy. This is how you set it up, blah, 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 blah. I was like, all right, let's do it. Crowdsourced some money, had my own money, put it into the tech and all of that. And then I was like, all right, we'll do 10 episodes, knock those out. Took a little break for about a month, did 10 more. And then I was like, all right, we're just going to keep doing this because, I mean, I don't know how many people I know. And then it just like, I think I ramped back up on episode 30 and it just like never stopped. And that was maybe like 3 years ago.
Now, how often are you filming? Are you just batch filming or just whenever you can?
I try to do it at least twice a week. Just keep the gears going, keep it greased. Because there will be times where I have to take a week or so, maybe 2 weeks off, for a very amount of reasons, And so I feel it when I get back into it. And it's like, oh man, I've done this for a while.
Oh, you got to get that alpha brain going.
Got to get back into it, right? Yeah.
So I would imagine, though, being in the comedy scene, when you bounce around from small market to small market, doing whatever venues you can get, I would imagine when comics come to Albuquerque, if there are any, they're always looking for a podcast to jump on and do promo.
Yeah, and that's what's really helped me out a lot too, because I really do pride myself on that. Even though it's a local, like I run it out of my spare bedroom in my condo right now. Started out in my garage and it's kind of just bounced around in between like different spare bedrooms I've had, or like when I had to crash with my buddies for a little bit, I literally bought PVC pipe, put it together, strung up curtains and sectioned off a part of the giant entryway we had and made a studio out of that. But I pride myself on the quality and the amount of production that's into it. And so when I can pitch that to comics that are either coming into town or like, when I went out to Austin, it's a smaller podcast, but it makes you look good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's a good, especially now, stand-up comedy and podcasting are so synergized.
You have to have one.
And they're so married. Yeah, exactly. And like you're saying earlier, everyone has one. There is a 100% oversaturation. I don't think it's a bad thing. It's mostly free to watch or listen to a podcast. But it is just another outlet for not just comedians to have like social media content, but you can also access maybe a different fan base or different market, or especially for New Mexico, since we're still a growing region, it's another way to access that audience.
Yeah, and gone are the days of like the 6 a.m. radio show where you're just trying to plug your next set, your next segment.
Yeah, those are dying for sure.
Yeah, so I think everything is switched over to the long form media where you can sit down and just be a knucklehead for a couple hours with your buddy, throw back a beer and just tell jokes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
When it comes to, here's what I'm listening to now. Obviously, Legion of Skanks, Matt and Shane, Flagrant. What's your go-to if you had to pick one?
Sure. So
What's in your lineup right now?
Yeah, there's a few for sure. So I listen to a lot of Rogan. I listen to a lot of Dave Smith's Part of the Problem, one of the Skanks. That's obviously not a comedy podcast. It's more of a political-centric podcast. I like that one a lot. Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast, Kill Tony, Flagrant I like a lot. Oh man, there's a lot.
Yeah,
honestly, there's a lot.
That's my stable exactly too. When I'm at the gym, whatever it is, driving in the car, getting across town, you throw that on, and it just for me, it's a great way to just unplug, and then obviously listening to Dave Smith, it's like, oh, you get some real political insight. You're like, oh, I didn't know.
What I like about him and his podcast is he's basically he's saying everything that I've thought politically, but just in a clear, concise, and a lot better way. Like it just makes sense. And
how does he memorize all that stuff?
Well, I mean, when you surround yourself with people like Scott Horton and the guy that does Martyr Made, Daryl Cooper, when you're surrounding yourself with guys like that, I mean, I'm sure it's tough not to.
Yeah.
But you also have I don't know what's wrong with me, but I do have a genuine interest in politics.
Sure.
And so it's good to have all of that in the banks when people throw nonsense at you. It's like, oh yeah, well here's why you're wrong, and here's why you're right, and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, or look at it from this perspective.
And then watching him just destroy Douglas Murray on Rogan was perfect. It was perfect.
So you recently took a trip to Austin, went to the mothership, the comedy mothership, the mecca of all comedy.
Yeah.
What was the experience like, especially through a comic's eyes?
Oh, it was beautiful. So I went to Austin for the first time last year, and I just saw a show there, and I was like, man, this is insane. I was in it because they have two rooms. It's the Fat Man and Little Boy based off the nuclear bombs. And I was like, man, I was in the Little Boy. I was like, man, this is insane. And the entire lineup were all local Austin comedians, and they were killers. Every single one of them. There wasn't a low point. They were all just monsters of what they do. Like, there's this guy out there, super nice guy. His name's Dylan Sullivan. And at the time, I had this little piss poor, 45-second, maybe minute and some change bit about drunk driving. And I didn't know what to do. I know what I wanted to do with it, but certainly back then, I didn't have the skill to figure out how to do it properly, how to deliver it properly, how to write it properly, whatever. I watched this guy do about 4.5 minutes on drunk driving, and he accomplished everything that I wanted. So I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm just not going to write that anymore. But then, so I come back last week, and so what happens is you get there, and every Monday night, they have a sign up for an open mic. And it's an audition for the club. It's a complete lottery system. It's a random pick. So you can go sign up for that, and then you can turn around and go sign up for Kill Tony. For people who don't know what Kill Tony is, it's a podcast, but it's a giant comedy show. And you sign up, and the host, Tony Hinchcliffe, he pulls your name out of a bucket. You get 60 seconds. They interview you, and it's the biggest comedy show on the planet right now. Like, they just did a thing on Netflix. It's massive.
It's one of the biggest shows on the planet right now.
Yeah, their numbers are insane. Absolutely incredible. So anyway, so I signed up for the mic, me and my buddy. Actually, he signed me up because I had to go find parking. So he signs both of us up, and because there was I think that day there was about 150 people that signed up for the open mic.
At Mothership? Mm-hmm.
And it's because everyone knows that it's like if you get a call back, then you get to audition again and then again. And
it's a launching pad.
Yeah, exactly. It's huge. And so I was like, all right, well, I'm not going to get picked for that. We're going to run up to Shakespeare's, which is a bar next door. We're going to sign up for Kill Tony and basically wait in a bar for 3 hours, see if we get our number pulled. Well, we get done signing up for Kill Tony, and a buddy of ours who had just moved from Denver to Austin, Josh, we see him enter the bar. It's like, oh, hey, it's Josh. And he just beelines it to me. He's like, hey, what are you doing?
No way.
You got called. You're up. I'm like, shut up, dude. We don't have what's going on? He's like, no, we don't have time for this. You're on the mothership. You need to go next door.
You got to do a set?
Yeah. So then I sprint downstairs. It was funny. This guy stops me. I guess he was like one of the producers coming to look for me, or no, he's a producer for Kill Tony. So he walks up and he's like, hey, what are you doing? And you go to the mothership? I'm like, yeah, I just got picked for the mothership. Like, what? He's like, you're gonna walk.
Don't run.
You're gonna take a breath. They're waiting on you. You're good. Just get down there, tell them who you are. You're on the list, and they'll take care of you. He's like, all right, sounds good. So they go, and when you enter the mothership, you can either go into the club or there's a bar to the left called Mitzi's, which is named after Mitzi Shore, legendary booker of the Comedy Store, the reason why comedy is the way it is today. So I go in there and I sit with the other comics, and it is like dead silent in there.
Everyone's
like,
nervous.
Everyone's nervous as shit. Like there's a couple comics in there who know each other, and they're like bantering. And I actually ran into a guy that I met last year, a buddy of mine named Cam, who's a crazy good comedian now. He tours all the time. So I said what's up to him, went in the back. I just went over my set because you only get 3 minutes. So I'm like going over my set.
That's pretty good, man.
It's good, but it's quick. Like it goes by fast. So they take all of us, we go into the little boy, and we sit in the back. And so the way the room's set up, it's perfect for comedy. Low ceilings, dark, audiences in front of you. You have the stage, and you have like a walkway, and you have like a bar table area.
Let me ask you this: packed house? Was it for open mic?
In the beginning, not really. There's about 35. By the time that I went up, there's about 60 people in there.
Yeah.
But the crazy part is where you're sitting. Behind you is the booker, Adam Egan.
Yeah.
So he's watching everybody. So, and it was funny too. The host of the open mic was actually another friend of mine who's a door guy there, Nick. He goes up and he goes, "All right, guys," as they're like seating people. Like, "All right, guys, this is the open mic portion of the show. We're gonna see headlining comedians that are trying to get into the club. We're gonna see up-and-coming comedians that are trying to make a name for themselves, and then we're gonna see absolutely insane people. So that's gonna be fun." Then he says, "No pity laughs. We don't do that shit here. If they're not funny, just stare at them." All right, first comedian. It's like, oh shit. So I was fifth one up. I went up. I did exactly 3 minutes, which I'm very happy about. And it was the hardest room I've ever done.
Yeah.
Like that was the toughest room.
You got to cut your teeth, yeah.
Oh yeah, because I have a couple of lines in my jokes that kind of gets a laugh that pumps up the bigger laugh. None of that. It was just the punchlines. I got a few laughs.
Were you sweating?
And oh yeah. Well, I was like walking up. I was, but I was pretty calm, which I was kind of surprised.
Well, you know your shit. You know your
Yeah.
material.
Yeah, but you're also auditioning for the most sought-after club on the planet. You know what I mean? And so, but I got a couple of laughs on my punchlines, got off stage, a couple of door guys said I did well. I was like, all right, sounds good. And then after that, we just waited for 3 hours for Kill Tony, and Mothership was a crazy experience.
So, okay, so roast comics like Hinchcliffe, is that, what style of comedy are you?
So
would you say?
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure that out. There's definitely some observational.
Because you've done roasts in the past.
Yes, yeah, and I love doing roasts. What I love about doing roast battles. I've only done them here in Albuquerque. I want to find a way to properly break into the actual roast battle circuit because I know I would do well. But what I like about roasting in the roast battles is your setup, your premise, it's standing right in front of you. You just do punchlines all day long. It's just punchlines. So it's a great writing exercise. It's a great piece of advice that I got from a local comic here who's great, Trip Stelnicki. The way
That's
he put
a great comedy name.
Great comedy name, great guy. The way he put it was, your punchlines in front of you, so it's a great writing exercise just to get to the point. And that's really all comedy is, unless you're doing like the longer, like the Dave Chappelle style where you like the storytelling and all that. Especially like early on in comedy, get to the point. Like get to what's funny, cut the fat, cut the nonsense, just get to the point. So I like that about roasting. And I also just like being mean. Honestly, it's fun to say horrible things on stage and get away with it.
No repercussions.
Yeah. There are repercussions.
What, like in the parking lot? No.
Oh yeah.
You guys go to blows in the
No,
parking lot?
no. The audience members. Oh no, they're in the last roast battle that I did, a couple people were saying some wild shit, and audience members got kicked out because they started to like argue with each other about like how they felt about comedy. No, it was stupid. Stupid people go to comedy shows every day.
In Albuquerque? No.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. But I love doing roast battles. But in my traditional sets, another great piece of advice that I got early on was talk about your life. Like talk about what's real to you. Talk about what's funny to you. Audiences can snuff out instantly what's not authentic. If you're trying to say something to get a laugh, they can pull that out immediately and not really care about you. So talk about things that are in your life. And then as you start to get to the more observational stuff, you can interject that. But like, so, I talk about like how it was growing up. I used to talk about some military stuff, but I've gotten away from that. But after I get away from some personal stuff, then I get into the more like darker style things that are more observational, that are my sense of humor. So.
Yeah. Well, okay, so now that Laughs is gone, Dry Heat is gone, what is the current state of the comedy scene in Albuquerque?
Sure. So it's in a weird resurgence right now. So about a year and a half ago, we got Casada's Comedy Club up in Bernalillo.
Right.
That's a great club. Did that once, hoping to do it again soon, or later this year. Then we got Hyenas. They opened up. They're a chain club out of West Texas.
Where are they located?
They are in the Windrock Center.
Is that right?
Yeah, and that's a great. I love Casada's.
Yeah,
Please
shout out
book
Casadas.
me. Please book me. But Hyenas is great. Like, Hyenas is awesome. Again, perfectly set up for comedy. Low ceilings, packed in, great audio. Book me, please.
Yeah.
You've gotten my emails. I've seen a few shows there, and it's a great room for comedy. And so having that chain club come in is great. And there's also, like, honestly, most importantly, though, especially for a scene like Albuquerque, there are a ton of local shows that are happening every month.
That's what I was going to say. So where do you typically work out your new material? Where do you stay loose?
Sure. So me and my friend AJ De Leon, another great comic. You should have him on the show. Honestly, he's great. Him and I, we run a show every month, at least every month, at Safe House Distillery off of 7th and Gold.
Okay.
Last Friday of every month, we're doing stand-up there. And then we also run a show last Saturday of every month. We just started working with Unhinged Brewing off of 98th and like the freeway or whatever.
Let me ask you this:
Yeah.
when you put together a show like that, and you're hosting your own show, what goes on behind the scenes? What kind of work does it take? Is it similar to just like, hey, if your band book this venue for the night, you just show up and you get a portion of the door, or do you actually have to go out and do the marketing, come up with the staff, all that stuff?
Generally, it depends on what venue you're working with, but generally speaking, number one is getting in with the venue and then understanding what they want from you and what you want from them. What I love about both of these venues, and then also AJ mainly runs it, but there is a weekly show every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. at Top of the Block in Rio Rancho. Great show. Anyway, my best advice would be, if you're trying to book a comedy show at a venue, you need to make it very clear to them what you expect from them, and then you need to get a good understanding of what they expect from you. Generally, all they expect from you is to get people in the door. That's all they really need.
And what do you expect from them? Just keep everybody quiet?
No. Well, no.
There's got to be some nightmare scenarios.
No, yeah, that's your
there,
job as a comedian, right? Is to wrangle in the crowd. From the venue's perspective, what you're expecting from them is to set up the room for comedy the best, meaning proper lighting. The room is dark, stage is lit. Proper seating. People are packed in, they're close together. Great audio. You don't want the audio to be so loud where your ears hurt, but you don't want it to be so quiet, because there's this weird psychological thing that happens where if the room has too much going on, meaning the TVs are on,
right,
the lights are on. If the bar backs are doing their thing, can't really do much about that. But like, you need to eliminate as many distractions as humanly possible, because the more free an audience member feels to speak during your set, they're going to. They're just going to, especially if you're not funny. They're going to.
Yeah. So
set up the lighting properly, setting up the seating properly, setting up the audio properly, because you want the audio to be a bit overbearing, so you're talking over them just a little bit, and then just going from there. And then we've had great turnouts. We've been able to put together really great shows with these venues, and also just these venues are willing to work with us. Like, they've also come to the table with, what do you want from us?
Well, it helps when people come to the venue with the idea that there is going to be comedy there, versus stumble in trying to get hammered with their boys and some assholes on the mic talking about.
And that's an open mic. And you know what? Yeah, no, it's open mics are funny because there's an open mic every night in the city except for Sundays.
Talk about one of the. I mean, if you've been to open mics, if you've tried to put together your own show, there has to have been a nightmare venue or a nightmare performance situation that sticks out in your mind where you're like, this is going to be a learning experience.
I'm not going to say the venue, but I did a show at a venue one night. This was early last year, and it didn't help there wasn't a ton of people there. But just, again, the lighting sucked. The venue was gross to look at. Like, it was gross to look at, gross to be in. It was
knockouts, wasn't it?
No, that would honestly be kind of fun. I got to be honest with you, because just real quick, Ari Shafir used to host a show called "This Is Not Happening."
Right.
And for anyone who's ever seen that, the venue is a strip club. And
it is,
it worked perfectly. But anyway, the hosts didn't do a good job setting up the room, and you have those, but it's if you just give a couple of minutes of extra thought, you basically, so when you're setting up a real show, from my perspective, it's how close can we get it to a comedy club room and how far away can we get it, especially if it's a free show, how far can we get it away from an open mic? Because an open mic is just microphone, speaker, do your thing.
Somebody yelling, yeah.
Exactly. And most of the time when there's open mics happening, it's just comedians in the audience. It's a weekday at a brewery that's nice enough or crazy enough to let you guys do it, and you're just gonna do it till the wheels fall off. But you need that. Like when you're starting out, you can't just be doing bullshit material in a comedy club. You need to build to that. You need to go to a room where you're trying out material. Nobody cares what you're saying, and why should they, quite frankly? But it's not just about getting laughs at an open mic. It's how does it feel coming out of your mouth? How are you performing it? How are you saying it? Does it make sense? Like there's so much.
Are you
more
rushing?
to
Are
it.
you talking too
Exactly.
fast? So
yeah.
How have you evolved as a comedian from your first open mic to where you are now a couple years into the game?
Oh, it's.
What's the biggest changes you think you've?
Man, I would say, cause I've been very lucky that I've been confident on stage. Like I've never ran into stage fright. I've been nervous for sure.
Should be.
But I've never ran into real stage fright. I've never really like frozen up. I've never ran into that. But the biggest jump for me has been writing. Like for me, it's been, okay, what are you writing about? Is it worth writing about? Are you getting to the laugh fast enough? Are you giving enough information? Are you giving too much information? Like, what are you basically just constructing the actual joke itself? And then in the wider sense, does your set make sense all put together? Mm-hmm. Like, it's a fun, like, Lego game where you're setting up your set, trying to figure out, like, are your transitions working properly?
Yeah, you're building momentum.
Exactly. And if you don't have a transition, can you just... Because I've gotten to the point now in the last couple of sets where I'll start with my lighter material and I'll get some good laughs, get the most building, and I'll just flat out say, like, I'll say something where it's like, okay, now we're going to get darker. And I get into my heavier, more offensive, whatever material. But it's just, I've gotten a lot better at that. And I've also, a big note that I used to get from my fellow comedians and from audience members was that when I was on stage, it didn't look like I was having fun, which is a huge part of it, right? Yeah. Even if you're the most deadpan, like Anthony Jeselnik, you can still tell he's having fun, but it just looked like I was in pain up there. When I was like, no, I'm having the time of my life. I'm having a great time. What the fuck?
I want to be here.
Yeah, exactly. This is great. But I would look at my tapes. I'm like, oh, yeah, you look like you're in pain. So now I've gotten a lot more expressive. I've gotten more
self-aware of what you look like, what you're actually communicating.
Exactly.
Right?
Just showing the audience that I'm comfortable.
Yeah, if you're having fun, I'm having fun.
Exactly.
So, okay, so that's a lot of growth. What do you have put together so far right now? You have a solid 30? Are you at an hour yet?
No. I have no interest right now in getting to 30 minutes or even, let alone an hour. What I'm concerned with right now is getting a really solid 15. And I'm getting pretty close to that. Right now, I'm very comfortable with 10 to 12. I did 15 minutes up in Santa Fe a couple weeks ago, and I murdered. I'm not gonna lie, I killed, and that felt really good. So I'm like, okay, now I'm like, 15 is a lot closer. I don't think I'm gonna get to a solid 15 for about another year, which I'm perfectly fine with. You know, this is a marathon, not a sprint. The accepted wisdom is that it's going to take you about 10 years to find your voice and 10 years to get proficient and to get like really good at it, you know, to be like certified, like, oh yeah, like that guy is great. Yeah. So I'm only 2 years in here in like, 3 days. So I'm concerned with 15 minutes, making sure that my stuff is put together, it's punched up, it makes sense, it's relevant. You know, it's like I used to have like 3.5 minutes on political stuff, but I couldn't do it past the election last year because
all those guys are out of office.
Yeah, it's not relevant anymore. It doesn't matter.
So what was the main catalyst that took you from just being a funny, dark kid to all of a sudden I'm on stage now and I'm going to tell the world what I think?
Yeah, for sure. So I did the podcast for 2 years, and then I went to a roast battle here in town. And
that was your first time on stage?
No. That was just me watching. And because I've always been a huge fan of stand-up, but I was always just like, that's for those guys. Like, that's not for me.
Yeah, I have my shit together. That's not.
Not only that, it's just like, And still, I have this admiration for it. Like, it's so impressive to be able to, at a high level especially, to get up there and you only have a microphone and you entertain people. That's incredible. But then I went and saw local comedy. I was like, oh man, we have some like actual killers in town. Had them on the podcast, found out about open mics, went to a couple open mics and just watched. And a few friends of mine that were running an open mic at the time at Inside Out, they were like, hey, you're doing stand-up next week, dude. Like, you're coming here the last couple of weeks with a notebook and doing nothing with it. You're doing stand-up. And I was like, I don't have 5 minutes. Like, we don't care if you have 20 seconds. You're going to get up there and do stand-up. They signed me up. I went up and did it, bombed my ass off. I just did horrible. I got like one laugh in the back, and I was like, oh, that feels good. But one of my friends that was running it at the time, she pulled me aside, and she was like, hey, you're actually really good on stage. Like, you're confident. You seem like you know what you're doing. Yeah, like you seem like you've done this before. Your writing sucks. Like your joke writing is terrible. You have no idea what you're doing with that. But like you seem like you're supposed to be on stage.
There's something there.
Yeah, there's something there. I have a show in a month. Come do 5 minutes on my show. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess. Like, all right, I see how this goes. A month later, I go do a show at 377 Brewery. And I actually did really well.
That's great.
Like, it actually went pretty well, especially for my first time. And I was sandwiched in between two amazing local comics, Black Mike and Steph Darnell. And these guys are killers. They've been doing, I think at the time, Mike had done it for like 12 years. Steph had been doing it for like 13 or 14, just insane numbers. And I did well. And I was like, all right, I guess this is what I do now. Like, I guess this is it.
I think that's fantastic. I always love to hear the beginning story of how people actually got there. You're having a ton of success with the podcast, Improvised Intelligence. Anything you want to plug now while you're on the show here?
Yeah, for sure. So they brought the social media, but yeah, on social media, Noah Vargas on all stuff, Noah Vargas 2 on Instagram, Improvised Intelligence Pod on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, and then I actually do have a few shows coming up. On June 27th, I'm going to be June 21st, I'm going to be at Turtle Mountain Brewery up in Rio Rancho. That's June 21st. June 27th, I'll be at Unhinged Brewing. And then on July 2nd, I will be at Bourbon and Boots downtown in Albuquerque. And like I said, last Friday of every month, we're at Safe House. Last Saturday of every month, we're at Unhinged. And then every Tuesday at 8 p.m. at Top of the Block at The Block in Rio Rancho.
This is great, man. I'm going to hit you up for sure and come check you out. We appreciate your hard work. We're going to have links to all of your Instagrams and social tags, so we'll be sure to get you some followers as well. Make sure that we get some butts in the seat for you.
Sweet, thank you.
Noah Vargas, thanks for showing up, man. I appreciate you. Great story. That's about it for this week's episode of YouABQ every Wednesday night and Sunday morning on the Education Channel and worldwide on YouTube. This is all about YouABQ.
You're watching YouABQ.